What's up, people? We're looking at people who... what kind of people? Nerd people. No, what? Pedal nerds and nerdillas and nerdazzles. We're looking at... Boom! Something binged. That was Alex. We're gonna shut him off. We're looking at my first orange product. I don't have an orange amp because you would very clearly see it over there because, you know what, it would be freaking orange. It's kind of in the name. They have them in black, which I kind of think is pointless, considering how iconic that orange of the orange is. Anyway, moving on. My first orange pedal, they came out with this last year, I think, at Musikmesse, maybe before that, I don't know, I just saw it there. And now we can test it. So there's also coming up the new amp detonator and the two-stroke, which I'll probably be filming today as well. So orange goodness coming your way. The BAX Bangeetar, or BAX Bangeetar, or BAX Bangeetar. I don't know how you say this. I have no idea what that's supposed to be. Maybe that's one of the problems of the pedals, because you can't actually remember what the crap it is called, so you can't type it in the search engine. It says guitar pre-EQ. What does that mean? Well, it's a big-ass, heavy-ass box that sounds fantastic and has a lot of options for your guitar players, which is, well, let's look at the controls. We have gain, which is pretty easy. We have treble and bass, which is pretty simple, called top and bottom, easy. We have volume, pretty simple. We have mids. Well, this is where the guitar has everything, and I always wish for more mid control. Very, 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 very few companies give you this. Orange gives you not just mids, they don't just give you semi-parametric mids. Huh? They give you fully parametric mids. Well, let me explain. Mids would be plus minus in the mids somewhere, meaning that you can boost or cut it, but they define what mid frequencies. Well, the problem is Marshall's mids, for example, are higher mids. So that means about 2K or something that gives you bite, that gives you scratchiness, which is nice for the pick attack, which is what Marshalls are excelling at. If you want a nice, beautiful, creamy lead sound, you have to boost 800 or 900. Well, if it's fixed at 2K, you can't do that. If you want to take out frequencies to give you that modern, notchy kind of a metal sound, you need to take out 400. So if that mid knob is fixed at one certain frequency, you're pretty much at the mercy of the people that picked that frequency. Semi-parametric mids let you decide what frequency you're actually boosting or cutting, and fully parametric mids actually let you decide how many of those frequencies around the ones you picked are affected. But let me illustrate visually, because otherwise you're lost. So here's a little video. So let me show you what you can do with those three parameters. The one on the left on the BAX Bangeetar would be your gain. So that's pretty much, if I turn this on and increase it, that's your gain. So plus, minus. Okay. What the second one would be a Q, which means how wide is this area right here. So this would be down here. So this was a very, very steep Q. Also, sometimes when you cut it or you take it out, that's called a notch filter. Usually when you're boosting, meaning going up, you're adding gain, you're having it a little bit wider, because it could be very, very annoying if it's not. When you're cutting, you're trying to take out frequencies that you don't like. So there, usually it's a little bit narrower, otherwise you're losing a lot of your signal. I mean, if you do this, you have no signal left. So usually when you go down, you have a steeper Q, which on the BAX Bangeetar would be to the left. And when you're adding, you have a higher Q, which would be the middle button on, and you turn it to the right. And then there's the frequency right here. That's the knob on the very right. And you could go and, for example, make a medley kind of a guitar, which would mean we're taking this to about 400, 450, something like this. And we're cutting it, and we're cutting it rather steeply. So that would be kind of the notch that you do for a metal guitar. If you wanted to do a nice solo type guitar, you're adding. And for a creamy kind of mid-Z lead sound, you're adding around 800 or 900 hertz, which of course on the BAX Bangeetar you can't see, but you can hear. I'm just trying to illustrate what this would look like. And you're adding a nice wide area, so you're not boosting something very steep. And then you boost as much as you need to make it sound nice. So those are the three things. On the very left on the BAX Bangeetar, gain, that's this. Then comes Q, which is this. And then comes frequency, which is this. Okay, I hope this illustrates it a little bit. Back to, well, me. So yes, the BAX Bangeetar has a fully parametric mid-control, which makes it as flexible as any studio EQ. One of the problems of that is, you as a guitar player have no freaking clue what you want. Usually. Me as a guitar player, I wouldn't. Me as an engineer, I deal with this stuff all the time, and I learned through playing with the EQs. Yes, I want about 800 or 900 for the nice round mids. I want bitiness for this sound. I want a notch for this. Now, these options are great, but they can also lead you into disastrous areas if you just fiddle around, you have no idea what you're doing. So you need to learn your sound, and you need to focus on what you want and then try to get, that sound. So, because the pedal is so extremely flexible, we're going to test it with a variety of things. We have a hard-tone guitar right there. It's not this one, it's this, the one that you can't see. With humbuckers. We have a single coil Thomann from Maybach, and we have a multi-scale RG7 7-string for doomy stuff from Ibanez. Going into the BAX Bangeetar, going into a Strum El Capistan for fun, that rhymes, stun, fun, and going into the Joyo Beale Street, completely weird amp for this. It's a 12-watt tweet kind of amp with 6v6s, but it's a nice clean sound, and that's what we want. Also the BAX Bangeetar. Maybe it's BAX Bangeetar. Maybe you have your bang. I don't know. I have no idea how you say this. It has a cab sim out, so if you want to go straight into your audio interface at home, you can do this, and we're gonna, of course, because that's me on the channel here, we're gonna check this shit out. It also has a boost switch which lights up giant green. They don't do subtle. These little nibblies here, which you can see on camera too, are gigantic. They're like big nipples that you can rub. I mean, I know, I'm sorry. Everything on this thing is just massive, the big metal bar. So we're gonna start with subtle. So we have this beautiful Thomann here. Oh, that Beale Street is of course going into the 2 notes Torpedo Studio right now with a 412. That's as single chordy as it gets. So we're gonna go low gain, and we put everything smack centered. Okay? This is not an overdrive. This is not a low gain pedal, as you will see, but you can push it this way. There was a note too many in there. Yeah. Sculpts out the mids nicely. By the way, those knobs, they're not endless, they have little notches. So you go click, 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 click. Might be nice to actually remember your setting. But see, there's nothing in between. So those are pretty much two settings. There's no setting that you can get that's in between those two. So it goes drastic quite fast. So let's kick it one more. I don't know, something. Nah, I don't. Let's go one more subtle again. So we're gonna boost high end. There's quite a bit of that. Let's boost low end. It's awesome. It's not way too much. It's just right. And you can blow up this T-style guitar without killing it. This is just the tone sculpting you can do with only the top and bottom switches. Knobs. Let's figure this shit out. So with everything in the middle, I'm gonna boost the mids. The best way to hear this is getting up the Q a little bit, so making it steeper, which is on the left, and now sweeping the frequency. Well, if you really want shit to come out of your mix, that's how you do it. So now that I've found my way too high mid frequency, but it's kind of cool, I can make it wider. Fuck, that is cool. So again, we're making it steeper again to hear the sweep. That's kind of like a, almost like having a wah in one position. Technically, what happens if I turn down low and high? That could be super nice creamy lead sound if I had some delay and more gain. Or if I had hamburgers, let's switch. I know I don't want to play, but I can't because I don't practice. So, let's go further. We can boost even lower. Huge and round sound right there. We get the bite in. So that was all with the mids fully boosted. Oh God, there's so much to do. Now we take that shit out and we're actually gonna go notch and we find the frequency that we wanna kill. And there the mids are back for a nice rock sound. So let's give it a little bit less gain and just rock. Let's switch quickly. So we want the super gain monster sound. So obviously the tonal options are quite numerous. We're gonna go and use it with the boost. Just go center here, which I can't really see because of the bar, which we're gonna get into. So the boost by itself doesn't do anything. Again, big difference in these two settings, which is kind of sad. Well, I could live without that because it's pretty much kind of like going one notch up on the gain. I don't quite. It's nice and it's green. Doesn't boost the volume too much, really, at all. And just adds a little bit of thickness. Not anything you would ever hear in any band context. That brings me to the emulated out. Let's listen to that. Well, obviously, it's no Torpedo Studio. It might, you know. I'm not. I'm not. So, my 2 cents, here's what I think. For me, the BAX Bangeetar. I've used it in a session with Campaign Like Clockwork and we loved it. It just bites through a track. And that's, for me, its strength. Its aggressiveness and its precision in the attack. And it's a rock monster. It really is. It can bite through a track. It can be subtle, but you saw that one notch more gives you more gain. You can use it as a subtle overdrive distortion if you wanted to, but it doesn't excel there. Its gain range, for me, is a little bit too high. It just has too much gain. It goes overboard with the gain, which also means you can't necessarily dial it in the level of detail that you would want to, because that higher range is just something you would very likely not go to, because it gets fizzly there. It is, with a Les Paul type guitar, just the rock bitch. Top-bottom controls are killer. Fully parametric EQ is a great idea. It is to be taken with care, because you can dial and still not find what you want. You have to really think about what is it that those controls do. It makes it incredibly flexible, and you can dial in a whole range of sounds, always limited to the general sound character that it has, which is aggressive and bitey and defined. I would never call this a warm sounding pedal. But for rock, certain kinds of metal, lead tones, again, it's the general character is lacking some warmth. You can dial that in with the mids, but not in that creamy way that I would necessarily like. It can be your go-to pedal for your rhythm rock sound or for anything screamy. I would put it in a similar category as plexi pedals. Rock the fucking socks off, and that's what it does, but with more tone shaping controls than any other pedal in that category. Of course, it doesn't sound like a plexi, don't get me wrong. What else? Caps them out, well, as a last-ditch resort, why not? If you're in rehearsal and everything breaks, plug that in. It's if you really have to, yeah. Everything is huge, which is also the problem with this metal bar. I know the idea behind it is nice. The idea is don't step on the knobs and protect your investment, which, yes, that's a good idea. On the other hand, what pedal do you ever really kill the knobs on? I mean, I got a Strymon here, which is more expensive. The knobs are equidistant. Yep, pretty much the same thing. And we don't need that, and no one kills their Strymon, because people don't do that. So it makes it look sturdy, it makes it look like a tank. The problem with it is, getting to these knobs is nice. You just bend down and do it. Getting to these knobs, you can't. Your thumb doesn't go underneath. So you have to do this. So that means on stage or in a rehearsal, you're going around the metal bar a lot. Okay, you're trying to get to your knobs, which, if I'm sitting here, is fine. If you're standing in front of your pedal board, you're gonna have to bend down all the way and go around the bar. That's annoying as fuck, I'm sorry. Also, the bar is so close to the foot switches that you will have to use your tippy toes to really only step with the front of your foot. Because you can't just flat stamp, because there's the bar. I mean, and that's the whole idea of the bar, but it's also not just protecting the knobs, it's also in the way of you actually manipulating the foot switches. Too much, guys. Now the pedal is freaking huge. It clocks in at about this high, which really tells you nothing. There's a lot of real estate on the pedal in terms of space. Now, why exactly is the 9-volt output right next to the input? If you want to use an angle plug, well, the pedal is so high that it could go this direction, it could go down, yes. What if your angle plug is supposed to go this way? Like, to the back? Well, there's so much space on the pedal. Why make the 9-volt right next to the input? Doesn't have to be an issue. But with this much space on the pedal and the circuit board, put it somewhere out of the way of the plugs, because that way you can use angle plugs and actually maneuver them in any way you want. That's something people bitch about on MXR pedals. You know, the 9-volt is too close to the input jack. So on MXR pedals, they're small. This is huge. Why not put it somewhere else? That's a small gripe. Last bitch about this pedal. Huge knobs. Beautifully big knobs. Have you noticed in the produced track, when it was on the screen, you couldn't see any settings? If I have a knob that big, why isn't there a line on it? You know, there's this tiny little dot. Where is it even here? Here. There's this tiny little dot, which if you're standing up, you're very likely to not see. On a badly lit stage, absolutely no chance. So with a knob this big, why not make a big ass line on top of the knob running down the side to the dot, so that I can very clearly see the setting. It's oranges first venture into the pedal world. I think. What do I know? Probably not. And they have stuff to learn when it comes to usability. It's a tank, it's big, it looks cool, nice looking knobs, but usability is key, which means give me lines on the knobs, make the bar smaller or just kill the bar, it's not necessary. Because sound-wise, holy shit. I cannot actually tell you whether it sounds like an orange amp or not. It probably has that bitey, very high-end characteristic, but I haven't really spent time with any orange amp here in recording or anywhere. So I hope we're going to change that, orange guys. Hope we're going to look at some amps. But I cannot actually tell you whether this will get you orange in a box. A box of oranges. They should have called it that. I have no idea. I know, well, it clocks in at over $300, 350, 360, something like this. That's steep, guys. For a pedal with some usability issues, that's a high price tag. On the other hand, very flexible. And as a rock sound, it freaking kills. Which is really, really what we care about. Okay? Whether you want to put this on your board and lug it around, it's a tank. It weighs something like a tank. But if you like the sound, this is freaking killer. That's the bottom line. So I'm sorry for this being a long review, but that's Orange's fault for making a pedal that has a lot of options. See you on the Flippity Flop. Please subscribe and don't be an ass. Subscribe. Check out the animals telling you the same thing.